Hello, this is Chris at Rekkid Talk, and we're doing another episode of Ranking the Albums. So we're going to tackle the studio albums of The Cure today. Before we talk about studio albums, I'm just going to show you some other Cure and Cure-related material I have. So like some old cassettes. So this is Concert and Curiosity. So this was an early live concert. Curiosity would be like various B-sides and other stuff from the period 1977 through 1984. The live material was recorded in 1984. This was released by Fiction Records. I think it was an import. Don't remember for sure. I have the Standing on a Beach compilation, the A-sides and the B-sides if you had the cassette version. If you had the CD, you didn't get the B-sides, although I think you got more tracks as far as A-sides than the cassette could hold. And I've lost the insert to that at some point over the years. Here's an oddity, The Glove, Blue Sunshine. So this was a project between Robert Smith and Steve Severin, who played bass for Susie and the Banshees. Robert Smith had some stints in the Banshees before I think him and Susie had a falling out. Some other non-studio album stuff. Here's another compilation. Cure Mixed Up, so a remix compilation. The Cure Show, and what I think is that was recorded, I think, in the early 90s. Cure Paris. This was recorded in Paris in 1992 with a lot of deep cuts. The Cure Show, which was recorded around the same time, would be more of a hit-based live album. But we'll go ahead and get into the 13 studio albums by The Cure. I am going to rank all 13 of them. And this is one of the difficulties that you run across with a band that has a large discography over 20, 30, 40 years, is that inevitably you're probably not going to like all the albums. Sometimes you don't even have all the albums. So I've had some times I've been picking up stuff to make these shows. Like REM, I got a couple of their later CDs, which I didn't really like and ranked towards the end. I've done the similar with The Cure. U2, I made the decision not to even get their last few CDs and just ranked discarding the last 3 CDs. I recently bought an instant Iron Maiden CD collection from somebody on the Hoffman forums, which has all the Iron Maiden studio albums, except for the one that's being released in a few weeks, because it's not quite out yet, and it doesn't have the 2 with Blaze Bayley when Bruce Dickinson was out of the band for a while in the 1990s. When I did the Juliana Hatfield, which was my very first video I ever made, I just did a top 10 with her, even though I have everything. But let's go ahead and get into ranking the albums of The Cure. So here is unlucky number 13, The Cure, the self-titled. There's not too many bands where the self-titled album is the crappiest thing in their discography, but it's definitely going to be true for The Cure. This album is fucking boring. I may never listen to it again. The End of the World, which is track 4, I think is the shittiest Cure song ever. I Don't Know What's Going On is pretty wretched as well. The Promise, the last song, is like 12 minutes long. It seems much longer, so you can see I don't like that album at all. My number 12, that was in 2004. My number 12 is their most recent studio album, 413 Dream from 2008. So you can see, even though there's been promises that they would be releasing an album, they haven't released one in a long time. This album's pretty boring as well. There are a couple of decent tracks, which gets it from 13 to 12. The Reasons Why, the third track, I think is pretty good. The Scream, which is the second to the last track. I liked both those tracks. I read that this was actually supposed to be a double album, like 426 stream. I'm wondering how tedious those unreleased songs must be. I also heard at some point that they were going to release it as like 414 Scream, sort of indicating that maybe the unreleased stuff was a little bit on the darker side. But those are by far the two worst in the Cure collection. If you're not a Cure completist, there's really no reason to buy any of those. Everything else is pretty decent. I've got my next tier of 5, and then sort of my top tier of 6. So my number 11 is going to be the Cure Faith. So this was 1981. This would have been their third album. You've got like Primary, All Cats Are Gray, The Funeral Party. Kind of a droning, sort of depressing album. Not as good as some of the other darker moments in their career. This is not one I reach to a lot either. Number 10 is going to be the much made fun of Wild Mood Swings. And the most recent Record Store Day, they had a picture disc of this, which I didn't buy, so I still just have my original CD. This is from 1996. Sort of probably the end of sort of their them making singles. Want, This Is a Lie, Strange Attraction, Mid-Car. I mean, there are some pretty decent tracks on here, but like most mid-90s albums, it's probably bloated. It's got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 14 tracks. I bet you could get rid of probably 4 of them and probably have a tighter 10-track album that would probably seem to be better. My number 9 is going to be The Cure, The Top. This is from 1984. So you've got some weird songs like Shake Dog Shake, Wailing Whale. But you got some poppier stuff like The Caterpillar, Banana Fishbones. This is kind of a weird period for them. And so the stuff immediately before it and the stuff that come immediately after it is all probably stronger. This and The Faith are probably their 2 weakest efforts from the 1980s, which would generally be considered the prime time for The Cure. Number 8 will be Blood Flowers. Sometimes they talk of it as sort of like a trilogy of like the 3 really dark, foreboding Cure albums, and this is one of them. And probably the lesser of the 3 in my opinion. This was released in 2000. This one also came out on a Record Store Day picture disc fairly recently that I didn't get. Out of the World, Where the Birds Always Sing. I mean, there's some cool stuff on here, but there's definitely going to be some better stuff. My number 7, 1992, Wish. So you've got High, From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, Doing the Unstuck. A Letter to Elise was a deep track on here. That's pretty good. So this is probably my favorite of what I'm considering to be the second tier of Cure albums. But now getting into what I would consider the top tier albums, these are all going to be stuff that were released. Everything is the 80s, or you'll see the first album from the very late 70s. But my number 6 is going to be Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, 1987 album. This was probably about when I started listening to them. This is about when I was in college. Didn't really listen to this band in high school. Got a lot into them during my college days, late 80s, early 90s. The Kiss, Torture, If Only Tonight We Could Sleep. Of course, Why Can't I Be You? It's probably the most, and Just Like Heaven are the most notable songs. 17 songs on this. I'm pretty sure it's double vinyl. Can't get it all on one CD. The very last song, Fight, I remember when I used to play, I was playing club level college soccer. I had this on a cassette back then, and I'd put on my Walkman. It was kind of my get ready to play song. Number 5, this is another one from sort of the trilogy of depressing. This is the Cure Pornography. This is probably the heaviest, darkest album they ever made. 100 Years, A Short-Term Effect, The Hanging Garden, Siamese Twins. I mean, it's just an ode to heaviness and depression. So if you're looking for something uplifting, you're not going to reach to this album, but I mean, the very first lyric of the very first song is, "It doesn't matter if we all die." That's just kind of the vibe you're getting from Pornography. Number 4, well, number 4 is kind of weird because depending on what part of the world you live in, you might have gotten in 1979 an album called Three Imaginary Boys. I actually have sort of this deluxe CD version of it. So you got sort of this refrigerator and vacuum cleaner. Folds out. I actually have 2 discs here. 2 discs here. And one disc is the actual album. The second disc is a bonus disc of, I think, mostly outtakes and the like. Yeah, it's got studio demos, home demos, extra album tracks, some live stuff. So obviously not something that's essential, but kind of nice. But but I didn't have that until recently. What I've had for years and years is Boys Don't Cry, which was their debut as released in North America. So it has a similar but not identical song list to Three Imaginary Boys. A lot of the songs, Boys Don't Cry, actually Boys Don't Cry isn't on Three Imaginary Boys, but it is on here. But 10:15 Saturday Night is on both. A lot of the other songs as well. Three Imaginary Boys, Fire in Cairo, Killing an Arab is on Boys Don't Cry, but not Three Imaginary Boys. That sort of thing. Number 3, I'm going to show you the only Cure I have on vinyl. I did buy this picture disc at a record store day of 17 Seconds. I actually don't really like picture disc, and that's why I didn't buy another one. I have this on cassette as well. I don't have it on CD. This has a Forest, and a Forest is on, I think, pretty much all the compilations as well. A Forest is probably my favorite Cure song ever. This was their second album. That was done in 1980. So this immediately followed up the Three Imaginary Boys or Boys Don't Cry, whichever version you're considering to be the debut. Again, the Boys Don't Cry, some of the songs were like singles that were not on the album in the UK, but they tacked them on the album in America. My number 2 I have on, I'll show you a cassette and a CD version, is The Head on the Door from 1985. So you've got In Between Days, Kyoto Song, A Night Like This, Close to Me. So there's definitely there's a little bit. It's not nearly as foreboding as some of the prior albums, Faith, Pornography, and the like. Definitely kind of similar to Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, in that you get more of the poppy side of Robert Smith. You saw some of that on Wish as well, but the masterpiece is Disintegration. 1989. Again, along with Pornography and Blood Flowers, is kind of considered part of their Dark Trilogy. You start off with Plain Song, Pictures of You, probably After a Forest would be my second favorite Cure song. Close Down, Love Song, Last Dance, Lullaby, Fascination, Straight Prayers for Rain, The Scene Drink Water Is You, Disintegration, Homesick, Untitled. Got 12 tracks. And I've heard people talk about the concept of the perfect album, where they mean an album where all the songs are great, nothing's skippable. And I think this is the one Cure album that would fit under that category. Now I'm going to pause and be right back. Alright, I'm right back. So again, this is not a studio album, but this is a DVD set, the Cure Trilogy. This was recorded in Berlin in 2002, and basically Pornography, Disintegration, Blood Flowers, those three albums were played in full, and so it is on a 2-disc DVD set here. Yeah, it's 2 discs. I'm trying to remember exactly how they break it up. Okay, so disc 1 is the Pornography set and the Disintegration set. Disc 2 is the Blood Flower set. And then they have what's called an encore set, which are a couple of songs from other albums. And then there's an interview. This is a live concert film. It was played loud, so turn it up. So again, we'll kind of recap my list of Cure albums from number 13 to number 1. Number 13, The Cure, self-titled, 2004. Ick. 12 for 13 Dream, 2008. Neither of those you need unless you need to have all the Cure records. Number 11, Faith, from 1981. Number 10, Wild Mood Swings, from 1996. Number 9, The Top, from 1984. Number 8, Blood Flowers, 2000. Number 7, Wish, 1992. Number 6, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, 1987. Number 5, Pornography, from 1982. Number 4, Three Imaginary Boys in the UK, or Boys Don't Cry in America, the debut from 1979. Number 3, 17 Seconds, from 1980. Number 2, The Hit on the Door, from 1985. And my favorite Cure album, a pretty uncontroversial choice, what I consider to be their perfect album, their masterpiece, Disintegration, from 1989.